Welcome to The Bridge, the official podcast for the University of Maryland, Baltimore School of Pharmacy Patients Program. The Patients Program is the bridge between the community and the researchers. The Patients Program created this partnership to help researchers listen to the community's voice in order to build a bridge to an effective learning healthcare community. Here's your host, Rodney Elliott.
Excited about today's show because I actually met a gentleman who's living in and about the community, doing positive things, and also reconnecting with a friend of the program, someone who was an intern here at the Patients Program, graduate Morgan State University, now one of our up-and-coming young journalists here in Baltimore, for a fantastic network that's sharing their work out in the community with the Baltimore Banner. So before I get into any more of that, I'm going to introduce David Lance from talking about who was that intern with us a couple years in the Patients Program. I remember him out and about with Eric Kettering, out in the community, capturing, how about this say, boots on the ground when it comes to true engagement with the community from a behind the camera lens. Now he's actually behind the computer, but actually on the computer with writing for the Baltimore Banner. So he's here today to talk about an article that he wrote that starred a gentleman who's, again, one of the movers and shakers in the community in a setting that men enjoy for getting good when it comes to looking good, but also getting good information in a safe setting. So I'm going to introduce David, and David, when you get a chance, I want you to kind of introduce Rel. We can get into our conversations today. David?
All right, perfect. So as Roddy talked about, I was formerly with the Patients Program, spent a couple summers there, and I really credit my time here and Eric for helping me to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I have had the chance to work for various publications. My most recent stop has been with the Baltimore Banner. And so in doing work and research and figuring out what I wanted to do to talk about the community, to kind of get into the community and really see who's the movers and the shakers in this community. I had a chance to meet up with Derel and kind of talk with him and figure out the work that he's doing and having that conversation with him. Not only does he own a barbershop in Baltimore, the man is also doing PRP work at our organization. That's huge. Like the barbershop is essential for Black men to come a space to kind of be free and talk about whatever they need to do, kind of that emotion connection, right? That I feel like is not seen as much in the Black community. And so getting a chance to kind of talk with him and figure out the work that he's doing, not only with his barbershop, but with some of the other shops in the city, right? Other barbers who are doing work and stuff like that. It's organic. It's nothing's forced. It's all real. Especially when I did my interview, I getting a chance to talk with him and Warren in the shop. It was like it really felt like me stepping into my own barbershop and getting my cut and talking with my barber. So like a lot of, I don't want to tell too much of his story because the brother got more to tell than I could even talk about. But that whole experience was amazing for me.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. And the gentleman you're talking about, who's in the other corner of our screen here, Rel, he owns Top Notch Barbershop over there in East Baltimore, right in my backyard. Had an opportunity to speak and chat with him yesterday. We had an awesome conversation. Rel, do us a quick favor. Why don't you share with our audience a little bit more about some of the things that you offer there at Top Notch Barbershop LLC, other than just a nice haircut?
Right. So Top Notch Barbershop does offer more than just haircuts. We are a hub in the community, and we provide people with resources. We connect them with other organizations in the community. So we're a hub for people to come and just reconnect, man. A safe space for people to talk about, trauma, for people to get some things off of their chest, to connect with other members of their community, and to also link with, just to provide people with a network so that they can have a solid foundation to build.
I like that, bro. And I'll be quite honest, if people don't notice, I've been sporting a ball haircut for a couple years now, and I don't necessarily go to the barbershop as much as I used to, but it did feel good being in that setting yesterday, getting to meet you and seeing you actually do your work. Also had opportunity to chit chat with one of your customers, and our conversation just was organic. We were talking about regular barbershop stuff, sports, football season is starting, we're talking about the community. But then we started getting into some stuff that kind of just, again, like I said, organically happened. The customer actually shared some of his health issues or challenges that he's dealing with, but he felt safe sharing that. David, I'm pretty sure when you did the interview, that's a fantastic interview on the Baltimore Banner website. I'm looking at it, and the title is How a Baltimore Barber Goes Beyond the Shop and Gives Life Advice to People in Need. David, what made you, as a journalist, want to write and elaborate or give a stage or platform, so to speak, to Rel and the work that he does in the community?
So firstly, I talked with my barber, Robert Cradle. Derel knows him now, knows him well, partners with him for like various projects that go on within the community. And I was talking with him, and I'm just like, talk about the work that I'm doing. He's like, you got to meet this brother that I know, like, does some great work in the community, does all that. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do that. So I got a chance. I called him. We had a talk for like 20-30 minutes, just talking about the different things he does and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's different, that's new. Like I haven't really heard of some of the things he does before. Like you might have heard bits and pieces, maybe.
Right.
Or maybe a barber that wants to do something within a community has a little event or something like that. But to the extent that I saw Derel doing what, like, whether it was like in person or kind of like things I was looking up, I'm like, that's real stuff. Like that's something that we need to talk about. That's something that needs to be heard. So, we set up a time. I was able to go down to Time Organization, which is the nonprofit in which he does his PRP work in.
Nice.
And so I got a chance to go down to the little shop he has there, see him do his work and kind of like how he interacts with the people there. And I'm like, it was some good stuff. Like I went in there, I got a camera, I got my recording equipment all there, but it was like, nothing about it was fake. It was all genuine conversation. We talking about everything. We were talking about the loss of family members. We talked about weed use, alcohol use, and stuff like that, and kind of various programs that were going on. It was all a conversation about real world issues that happen in our world that either people just might be afraid to talk about or might be stigmatized, and they don't want that perception on them. And it's like, it's real. This is things that we go through every day. And so that was just something where it was like, once I had that conversation, I knew this was going to be something that people wanted to read, people wanted to learn more about, because I know for me, when I was doing my research, it was like an amazing experience all over.
And you talked about the various programs or initiatives that Rel is a part of, and me meeting him yesterday for the first time. Again, me go meet him, before I talk to him, maybe 15, 20 minutes, wound up being an hour, some change, organic conversation. And Rel, you talked about an initiative that is near and dear to my heart, because again, your shop is right there in East Baltimore. I lived about 15 minutes away from your barbershop. My family members live even closer there, back when I was growing up in East Baltimore. And there's a bike initiative that you have and that you have for the community. Talk a little bit about, for one, how that bike initiative came about and what made you want to start it. What was the connection to our youth today, but also to teach them a really good lesson of what not to do or what not to get started in early?
Organically, it started a bike program a few years ago. We had a bunch of kids that would come to the barbershop and ask to work. And so, like, we would give them odd and end jobs. We would sweep to the store, like, they would help me clean up, they'd help me organize. And started out with one kid named Tony. He got the first bicycle. right? And his brother came the following week, and he was like, "Hey, can I get a bike, Mr. Derel?" And basically, you know, in like a month's time, I had like 15, 20 kids out front of the barbershop. And so like it just kind of landed in my plate. It landed in my lap to kind of provide bicycles to the kids. But to those who are like listening and watching it, Top Notch Kids is not about bikes. It's about saving these kids' life, right? It's about teaching them some ways to like connect, to work together, to not argue, not beef over petty things, and find a way to get some things done together collectively. We use bicycles as like a tool to get people to get the kids together and get some men to come out and to like speak up for them and to share time with them on Sundays, right? It's to like to pour into them the things that they need from their personal experiences. We have volunteers that come out. We have brothers that have a bunch of different backgrounds that come out and try to teach the kids about the decisions that they make today will have an effect on their lives in the future. We have a way of like using a bicycle as a metaphor. You might drive down the road and see an old rusty bike on the side of the road. We use those bikes, and we pick it up and we use them. We put new wheels on it, new rims, new pedals, a new seat, new handlebars, right, brakes so that they're able to stop. And we allow the kids that are part of the program to be the ones that paint the bike, the ones that put it together, and then like present it to the newest kid that comes into the program.
I love that.
Yeah, and so what's really important about the program, and one of the main things that it teaches, is that it's a crime preventative measure, right? Because kids, teenagers, right, have a tendency to act on emotions, and you know, having a bicycle stolen from you when you're a kid can lead to like that type of behavior, going out and stealing a bicycle, right? Or, you know, and that could lead to you like continue criminal activity. We give them bikes. It's 100% free, right? If a bike gets stolen, like my son's bike just got stolen a few weeks ago, and I'm like, you know, he about it, and I said, "Son, don't worry about it. We're gonna build you a new bike." And it's just that simple. It's a way of teaching that you don't have to act out on your emotions, because that comes with consequences. And I wish that when I was a teenager that there was a Top Notch Kids bike program, because it would have saved me some time and some bank over the years.
I love that analogy or that metaphor that you use as far as finding an old bike on the road and then, you know, taking that, bringing it back to the shop and allowing the kids to be a part of that reassembly. I love that part. And then the part of kind of bestowing it onto one of the newer kids that are coming to the program, giving them a sense of ownership kind of a little bit. And, you know, I'm pretty sure those stories, I can imagine one kid passing a newer refurbished bike to another kid who maybe didn't necessarily have a bike or got that bike stolen, but now they're back rolling, they're back in the neighborhood, they're back hanging out with their friends, they're back running some small errands for you and your patrons at the shop. So I love that initiative. Anytime you can find an opportunity to connect with our youth, particularly here in these underserved communities, East and West Baltimore, and give them something positive to look forward to, give them something to use with their hands, because, you know, a lot of times when I'm dealing with the youth, I'm talking to the youth, I ask them what do they want to be, what do they want to do when they grow up. It's mostly sports related or it's mostly art related. They want to be a ball player, they want to be a rapper. Nothing wrong with that. That's good. But you know what? The numbers of reaching or attaining that is kind of small. But if you understand the importance of figuring out how to use your hands, you know, I think that's awesome. Finding out how to be a part of creating an environment where it's safe, right? You know, if you're hanging with a bunch of good guys that are part of this bike initiative, you guys pretty much probably have some of the same life experiences, but also some same goals. So creating that unit, I think, or that culture, I think is awesome and fantastic. And another jewel that Top Notch provides for the community. David, you mentioned in your article, you talked about how the importance for Derel, again, providing a safe space for gentlemen to come in and particularly talk about health. There's a couple points in your article where you talk about the myth of that Black men don't take care of themselves, or Black men don't pay attention that they need to their health. David, can you talk to us a little bit about why you highlighted in that article?
Ronnie, I feel like a lot of time as Black boys, we're almost taught that we can't cry or we gotta be strong, and I feel like eventually as we become adults, we become grown men and navigate this world, there's gonna be times when situations come up and you want to cry. You want to cry. It just hurts, or maybe you're just not having a good day, and you want to talk to somebody about it. But because you were told you need to be strong and not show that weakness, that you don't talk about it, and you just let stuff like that build up. And so, something I wanted to touch on, talk about when I did this article was that, no, like the barbershop, it gives you a chance to talk about those things, right? You go into a shop with a whole bunch of grown men that been through some real experiences, that have seen things that you don't even know about, right? Or have done things that you probably wouldn't even think. You see them, they're professionals. They're lining you up, making sure your hairline all nice, making sure the fade is good. But at the end of the day, they're real men that have gone through some serious issues. And so the barbershop gives you a chance to, for Black men especially, to kind of go in and
Unwind.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Unwind, just allow you to relax and alleviate some of the stress and the pressure of everyday life. And so in a world in which I feel like not even just Black men, but Black people in general, the field of health hasn't been kind to us over the years, and mental health is a part of that. And so it's just like the barbershop really allows you to kind of unwind and get rid of some of that mental stress that you might be going through.
Again, the barbershop is that safe space. The barbershop is that place to unwind. As a barber, as a profession, in your profession, what makes it, or why is it important to you to encourage your customers, particularly men, to share their experiences other than just sports, other than just, the newest sneaker coming out, and they can have a safe space to talk about some of their health issues, some of their trauma-related issues?
At Top Notch Barbershop, yeah, we have those conversations, right? But there's also some people are challenged. Some people have challenges and can't make it to the barbershop. So yeah, it might be a normal occurrence for an individual to come and receive grooming services. But there's a whole population, there's a whole sect that doesn't really have that opportunity, doesn't have the finances, doesn't have the resources, doesn't have a ride, doesn't have the funds to pay. And so I am super excited and I'm grateful to be a part of an organization, right, that has recreated a barbershop inside of a place for people to be able to still receive grooming services and have their confidence restored, but also be able to unwind and unpack some of their mental health issues, right? Rob's Community Barbershop is a great organization, and they have partnered with Time Organization to build a barbershop inside of a program. It's a treatment facility, it's a mental health center, right, where people come in. It's a re-entry center, right? People are coming home from prison. People are dealing with mental health issues, substance abuse issues, they have trauma-informed care, substance abuse, addiction counselors, therapists, doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists. And so it's full wraparound services. And so I'm blessed to be a part of it. I started out as a volunteer, just providing grooming services there. And doctors would kind of walk past and hear how inside of the barbershop that was built, the clients were just really unpacking what's really going on. When they're sitting in front of the doctors, they might have their arms.
Yes.
I don't trust you. I don't want to talk to you. you don't know me, you don't know my story, like Dave was saying. And in the barbershop, you have to trust the person because they're responsible for your appearance. So you get to, your guard is down and you share and they say, you know what's real, this is what's really going on. And so when the doctors would walk past and hear that, they went to the staff and was like, hey, how can we bring him on board? And so they were able to find a way to bring me on board. And that's now my new position outside of what I do at Top Notch Barbershop at a place called Time Organization. I'm the new PRP coordinator, right? And PRP stands for Psychiatric Rehabilitation Practitioner, right? And so I basically do the same thing that I do at the barbershop, but I'm doing it now at an organization that specifically deals with mental health, that deals with substance abuse, that deals with reentry, right? So sometimes people in the community won't really admit that they need something, right? It's not the most flattering thing to say, to have a hand up, to say, hey, can you help me? And so, but in a place like Time Organization, people are more open to say, hey, yeah, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z, and how can I overcome, these obstacles? And so, yeah, I'm blessed and fortunate to be in this seat, man, and to have my life, my trials, my tribulations, my story being used to help someone else. So I'm blessed.
Well, you know what? It seems like even now, even when I left the barbershop yesterday and coming into work this morning, I realized that patients program and time, barbershop Top Notch, and even what David does, we're all in a building relationship program or building relationship business, so to speak, but also sustaining the relationships, right? It took David a while to figure out who the patients program is, what we do, and why we do it, right? That's why he's a partner with us now. He's a friend of the program now. When you're dealing with a barber, it takes you a while to kind of get to know and understand your barber, and you guys get that connection of how you want your hair cut and how you like your beard shaped up. As far as you're concerned, your role as the PRP coordinator, it takes time for your customers to be trustworthy enough of you in that space to share their experiences, right? You can get in the chair and say, I need my hair cut this way, my beard cut this way, boom, that's it. And if they leave out of the chair, don't say anything, that's fine. It's actually what they were there for. But when you can get that conversation organically, I think that's where that building and sustaining relationship is a part of. And again, in barbershop settings, you also just never know who's listening. The person waiting to get their grooming services next is always kind of listening on to what's going on. You talk about other organizations. There's actually a barbershop cohort that you are a part of as well that spans all over Baltimore, and you guys kind of share that same niche as far as not only providing grooming services but also providing services. Can you tell us a little bit about why you felt that was important to be a part of that barbershop cohort?
So yeah, most definitely. Everybody remembers COVID, right? And COVID-19 in 2020 when like all the barbershops got shut down, and like it was the pandemic and everybody was wearing masks. So shortly after, I was blessed with the opportunity to become a part of an organization, and the name of that organization is More Than a Shop, right? MTAS, right? Our founder, his name is Troy Stanton, and he's put together a coalition, a cohort of about 30 barbershop owners, right? To do similarly to what Time Organization does, but so on a larger scale, right? On a scale where the barbershop owners are all in a network, right? And we have connections with like the Center for Disease Control. We were doing COVID testings and vaccinations, and we have partnerships with the Baltimore Ravens, where they come and do outreach in the community, back to school events, giving out haircuts. We also have like initiatives with Zeke Cohen's office, the city council, right, for Healing City. And so if you guys remember, there were a few incidents where barbershops had some gun violence in them a few short years ago. And so I also am a GSV, right? And that's a gunshot victim, someone who was shot and lived to tell the story about it. And so myself, the founder of the organization, he's also a GSV.
Yep, I remember that.
And so there was a few barbershops that were actually there and actually had an incident happen. And so that coalition, we banded together and came and showed strength in numbers. And we say, yeah, this can't happen in barbershop, right? Barbershops used to be a safe space. It was like off limits. There was nothing that happened. A bicycle didn't get stolen. No, there was no guns. The barbershop used to be a safe space. And so the idea was not only to do that, but to also create a network of where barbershops were all in one collective, and we were a unity, to build unity amongst the group and stand together, and also to deal with trauma with Healing City. We have a partnership with them where we're able to dissect and unpack what's really going on with the people that are part of the city, so that they come to the barbershop. So it's a great organization, and again, I'm blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah, man, you guys are doing some awesome work within your communities individually, but then when you guys get together, I think that's awesome because, going out alone or singular by yourself is challenging, no matter what the effort is or the initiative is. But when you can partner with other like-minded professionals and band together and provide services, particularly for community members who necessarily don't have the time or the means, they can find something at a one-stop shop. I think that's great. Going to the barbershop and getting the cut, but also getting a resource to, or a referral to, or a number or email or a link, something that can kind of help you beyond your grooming service is fantastic. Not only for the men in our community, but also for the families in our community. The men that come and get those haircuts are leaders in our communities. They're leaders in their households. They're leaders in their families. So when they not only can come and get a fresh new start as far as the grooming is concerned, and they can get a fresh new start on addressing health issues, addressing some of their mental health issues, addressing some of their trauma that they've experienced, I think it's fantastic, and gives them an opportunity to continue to push forward. Just because life itself in general is just challenging. We're all rebounding from that COVID year. The fact of the matter that you guys can find a way to still stay connected during that COVID year, and to be quite honest, sounds like you guys might have came out a little bit better, came out with a little bit more tools in your toolkit other than just a nice pair of clippers. And I think that's awesome and fantastic. And this is kind of going to lean towards both of you guys for my last question. David, again, I met you a couple years back when, again, you first started interning here at the Patients Program. And I'm so proud of you for the things that you've done with us, but also for yourself. I think I met you in your senior year when you were trying to debate on figuring out which college you wanted to go to. And that was challenging for me coming out Baltimore earlier. So now you've graduated, you went to a couple different institutions as far as, your journalism is concerned. Right now, your feet is anchored. What are some of your short-term and long-term goals, David, when it comes to, your journalism career and bringing light to issues similar to what Rel and he's doing in his community?
For me, my focus as a journalist is just to get to really know people within my community and figure out a way that if they want their story told, I can do that. Or more so, maybe they've already had their story told, but they're doing new things, and that needs to be talked about. They don't need me to tell their story, but I want to tell it for them, type of deal. So wherever I move on to in my next venture, it's about staying in touch with my community, telling the stories of the community, so these voices can be heard, and I can help to be a part of the great work that they're doing and help progress and progress in their next chapters. And as I continue to move on to mine, that's ultimately my main goal as a journalist.
And Rel, for you, short-term goals, long-term goals for you and Top Notch?
Yeah. Well, my short-term goals, would definitely have to be to meet more brothers like y'all, Dave, Rodney. You guys are doing great work, and you guys get the opportunity to highlight the work that we're doing. But I also want to make it be known that the work that you guys are doing behind the scenes, man, is also very, very powerful and important. And so, but for my short-term goals, man, is just to keep pushing forward, right? I'm a marathon runner, so we can teach health and wellness in the community. Like, my initiative is to contact and connect as many people as possible. Is to change, not like we said in the barbershop yesterday. I'm not here to change everybody's mindset, but something, health is wealth. And so the more people that are healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually, the better off we're gonna be as a people, as a community. And so my short-term goal is the same as my long-term goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's to change our community, and like David said, progression is everything, right? And so we have to keep progressing forward, man. So my personal goals are being met as I'm projecting giving my skill set and my talents that are important. My business grows naturally with it. And so
I can see that, bro. I kind of got that vibe from your shop, man, where, it is a safe space, not only, again, to come get great grooming service, but also be a space where folks can communicate. But also, you are a hub to people who also have that same initiative or maybe on the fence when it comes to how can I be a leader in my community? How can I help in my community? I'm pretty sure you have a bunch of kids that come in, for example, and want those bikes, but those bikes just don't come out of the air. Those bikes just don't come out of nowhere. So I'm pretty sure some of your customers probably come in and see the things you're doing or the connections, the relationships that you are establishing in the community, maybe help contributing to that. So kudos to you, my brother, for all the work that you do. David, you're a great storyteller. I already know that. We've had conversations off camera about some of the goals and dreams that you have. You picked my brain a little bit about my journey, and hopefully I've shared some little jewels to you that can kind of help you along your way. Both of you guys are doing awesome work in the community. You're sharing it a different way. So Dave, wherever you're going next, I know you're going to be great in the work that you do. Rel, it was a pleasure meeting you. This is a beginning to our friendship, our relationship, our partnership going forward. Here at the Bridge and the Patients Program, we worked with organizations before in the barbershop setting, so it was kind of refreshing to revisit that when I came to see you yesterday. And I want to thank both of you guys for joining me, taking the time out to share your story here on the Bridge. We try to provide spaces and platforms for, again, like I mentioned earlier in my intro, movers and shakers. And both of you guys are movers, shakers, but you're also cultural shifters, right? So continue on in both of your journey. I'm behind both of you guys. If you guys ever need anything, I'm a phone call away, email away. Again, I may come in and get a nice cut one time. Rel, again, I cut my own hair, but every now and then I might want to come in and get chopped up, and I'll be sure to give you a call and get on your books one day.
I'll be ready for you, man.
My man. Again, fellas, thank you. I appreciate it. David, I appreciate it. Rel, I appreciate it. And see you guys down the way.
Thank you for listening to the Bridge Podcast. To learn more about the Patients Program, visit our website at www.patients.umaryland.edu.